What's really going down? So we're about to do a video. Actually, we're not about to do a video. You can watch this video or not watch this video. Some people want to watch this video. This is a video we've been asked for quite some time now, and we haven't really done this video. And so I figured today is as good as any, and I got some pretty good video footage from from the area. And so, what you're about to watch is a drive. The drive is from Evergreen Station. Now, the story goes. Now, this is just the story being told to us via some tweets, via Krystal Lee Kinney. Krystal Lee Kinney tells a story that she once came down to Woodland Park to kill a woman. She came down here with her aunt, and she told her aunt, we're going to look at a horse trailer. And they went and looked at this elaborate horse trailer, custom horse trailer that you couldn't get anywhere else, that you had to come to Florissant, Colorado to get. And she tells this story about coming to look at this horse trailer. And then after looking at the horse trailer, after taking some time to go look at this custom horse trailer, she then tells her aunt that we're going to meet someone, that we're going to meet this guy named Patrick. We're going to talk to him or whatever. They have a meeting with Patrick. And they meet with Patrick at a place called Evergreen Station. Now, Evergreen Station, for those of you familiar with this particular case, is about halfway between Patrick Frazee's mother's house and the Nash Ranch. This would also be the place where KK tells authorities that Patrick took the body out to the Nash Ranch, put it on the hay bales or whatever. So you have to understand the location in which we're at. And so I'm going to start this series of videos, and this series of videos is going to run. It's going to pull you into the Evergreen Station parking lot. If you've been watching Dad with a Phone for any amount of time, you may have seen my wife Nikki give an explanation of this a few weeks back. But what I also want to do is you're going to drive from Evergreen Station to Florissant, Colorado. And then from Florissant, you're going to drive to Woodland Park. We're going to do this in as real a time that I can do it because it is what it is. I'll be here answering questions along the way, put a little background music, enjoy a Colorado drive, but you're going to understand that these places are about 30 minutes apart, give or take, how fast you're driving, if you're staying on the speed limit and this, that, and the other. So, I don't know right now if you, hopefully y'all are getting me. I don't even know if I'm live right now. I'm about to listen. Perfect. We're listening. We're live. We're up and running. And so I'm going to kick these videos off. Sorry to interrupt you. Breaking news. 11 kids shot at school with a pellet gun. That is breaking news. What school? That's interesting. Kids shooting kids up with a pellet gun. I'm going to kick this off, and you guys can enjoy this ride along in the mountains of Colorado. And I will, let's see if we can pull some music up here. I don't know if this music's any good. Hopefully listen to it. Just so you know, I'm not going to, I'll explain a couple of times. This is a drive from Evergreen Station, which is where KK met Patrick and tells the story that they came up with, the coffee plan to kill Kelsey. And then we're going to drive into Woodland, and you're going to kind of see how long it takes and the distance. We'll drive through Florissant, Colorado. We'll drive by the Thunderbird Inn. couple of Facebookers are really interested in the Thunderbird Inn. So we'll drive by the Thunderbird Inn. You'll hear, you'll see the stuff going on at the Thunderbird. So enjoy the drive in Colorado. Station is located right between Florissant, Colorado, and the Nash Ranch. And so, again, this is the station in which they would have met up at, probably over there by that white car, had a little rendezvous to talk about the coffee plan. Now, this next video clip is from Evergreen Station to Florissant and then so forth. So we just drove out of Evergreen Station. It's actually a very beautiful drive in Colorado. So enjoy the ride along the way. If you're just joining us, we're driving between Evergreen Station and Florissant, Colorado right now. This is this is the road that Patrick would have taken out to Evergreen Station to meet with Krystal Lee Kinney. They met at Evergreen Station, according to her testimony, according to Greg Slater, according to tweets. So that's how we got this information. This information was given at the pretrial where they drove out to this and met at this station after she had supposedly looked at a horse trailer with her aunt. Now, the story goes that this is where they hashed out the coffee plan to drug the coffee. And so this would have been her drive back. It says then that she got in her vehicle and she drove back and had a beer at a bar in town. Now, I was having a discussion with my wife, and people are pretty back and forth on which bar in town did she have a beer at with her aunt. And this is before they went to Starbucks. And so this would have been the drive that she would have made with her aunt back towards Woodland Park. Now, there are people that believe that maybe she stopped at the Thunderbird, which we're going to come up here in just a second. We're going to be passing the Thunderbird on the left. And a lot of people have been asking about the Thunderbird. I've been getting messages about the Thunderbird. People on Facebook, people on the internet have been asking about the Thunderbird. And so the Thunderbird is located in Florissant, Colorado. It's like it's kind of a dive bar, country mountain town bar. And they serve food and a few things. They have some bands that play there. They have some outdoor picnic games, horseshoes, volleyball, stuff like that. This is Teller 1, so it's the road is Teller County Road 1. This road runs literally between Florissant and Cripple Creek. And then there's a couple of turnoffs or other roads that you would take to get out to Guffey, Colorado, and so forth to where the Nash Ranch is. The whole drive, literally from basically Evergreen Station all the way to Woodland Park, I think is only about 22 minutes. I don't know the exact time between Evergreen Station and Florissant, but it can't be any more than 10 minutes along this drive here. And so, it's a beautiful drive. If KK knew what she was doing, she could have turned right up here and avoided Florissant, Colorado altogether. We're about to pass this road where this truck just turned. That is Lower Twin Rocks Road, and that road goes all the way to Divide, Colorado, just outside of Divide, Colorado. But I believe she would have drove all the way back here into Florissant. They probably could have stopped at the Thunderbird. Maybe that's where they stopped and had a beer. A lot of people think, oh no, they went all the way down to Krystal on the other side of Woodland Park, or they went to the Ute in town. According to my wife, and I say according to my wife because my wife was actually in the pretrial hearing. She didn't get this from tweets. She didn't get this from Sam. She didn't get this from any kind of tweeted out. They never even talk about the name of the bar. They don't give even a description of the bar, except that she went to a bar in town and had a beer before they went to the Starbucks. So, talking with my wife, okay, on the left-hand side, just so you guys will know where we're at, on the left-hand side are the Florissant fossil beds. It's a national park or a state park. It's one of those two. And then you can't see this now, but if you actually knew where you're going to be looking here in just a second, you can actually start to see Omar Frazee's property. And we're going to drive right next to the property that the FBI set up on surveillance of the property. And so on the left hand side and the right hand side are the fluorescent fossil beds. We're about to be rolling into Fluorescent, Colorado via Teller 1, which would have been the road that Patrick took to and from the Nash Ranch. It would have been the road to and from Evergreen Station, where he met, according to KK's testimony, he met with KK and they discussed the coffee plan. And so this just gives you a kind of an idea of the vastness both of the land in which they're traveling through. And this is the thing, on both sides right now is national forest. On the as far as the eye can see in front of you, when you can see those, you see them trees way out in the distant, not the stuff close by, but like the hilltops, the mountain that's kind of the pointy mountain that's off into the top and all that. That's all national forest, and that's all directly behind Patrick's property. And so you got to understand, there's just property on top of property on top of property. And so that's actually signal. I think that's the pointed mountain on the right hand side of the screen, kind of off to the right of the street, but way off, that little pointed hill. I believe, if I'm correct, that's Signal Butte. Okay, so now we're pulling into Fluorescent, Colorado. Now we're gonna roll past the property in which the FBI, and okay, if you look straight ahead of us, up in those trees that are in the distance, there's a couple of clearings. That's actually old Ma Frazee's property. And that's that clearing between the trees. I could do whatever and show you, but whatever. And then right up here on the left-hand side, there's a property that the FBI went behind, and they set up long-range optics and they launched drones to look at that property across the highway. So if you look across the town, you see the buildings. Right above that, there's a clearing in those trees. That's old Mont Frazee's ranch, and you could actually see the barn and the structures of that. And so the FBI actually went right behind this business here where it says hay for sale, and they set up on the hilltop, and they did surveillance from there, starting, I believe, on the 14th of December when they first ran a search warrant. Right in front of us with the green roof and the flag on top, that's the famous Thunderbird Inn bar. And there is some significance there. We're about to make a right onto Highway 24. Now, this is Highway 24 headed back towards Divide, Colorado, and Woodland Park. This is the big town of Fluorescent. You just saw it. Everything, I mean, there's a few gas stations, there's a few little shops here and there you may have missed, but this is Fluorescent, Colorado. It's not, it's a very, very, very small community. As a matter of fact, that thing that looks like a gas station to the left, there's not even a gas station there. And so the Conoco station's behind us. Woodland Park looks to be 15 miles ahead of us. Divide, Colorado looks to be about 5 miles ahead of us. And we're about to weave through the canyon on Highway 24th. And now we're headed east on Highway 24 back towards Woodland Park, Colorado. This would have been the route that KK would have taken after meeting up with Patrick, after with her aunt, after discussing the coffee stuff. This would have been the road that she drove back towards Woodland Park. And so there is some distance between these places, yet it's all relative to about 20-30 minutes. You're going to see, this is a real-time video, and hope my wife or I am not speeding in this vehicle because then they could average it, right? Who knows? So we're driving back towards Woodland Park, Colorado. And you can see horse trailers coming past us. Those are dirt bike trailers probably, but you're going to see horse trailers and dirt bike trailers and campers. This is one of the most dangerous roads right here in Teller County. A lot of accidents, a lot of animal fatalities because they get hit. We saw some elk along this road. I have some video I think that we shot. I don't know if it's in this actual video, but we've seen elk and deer and coyotes, and I've seen mountain lions cross the road on this road. So This road is headed east. This is Highway 24. This is the same highway that runs right through Woodland Park, but this is headed east from Florissant, Colorado to Divide first. And Divide, Colorado is where right now Patrick is being held in the Teller County Jail. We're going to drive right past the cell phone tower in which the officers talk about in the courtroom that there was a phone ping in Divide, Colorado. We're going to drive right past the cell tower that I believe that ping came from. So this is just giving you an idea of kind of how these places are tied together. When people are talking about Florissant, Colorado, or Divide, Colorado, or Woodland Park, Colorado, I want you to understand the geographical distance between them. Like there is just a vast amount of property and land and forest and public lands long in between. So when someone says, "Well, Patrick took the body down to the dump afterwards," and that's where the dump is an hour away. Why not just drive off into the woods here? Why not go to where so why not go to the cattle lease out at the Nash Ranch? All of these things are privy to law enforcement. They know this, but they chose to focus on the dump, and it turned up an empty search. And so when this is just going to give you a better understanding that this is not something that took place in a relatively easy area. I mean, you could disappear someone into these woods pretty quickly. Matter of fact, that people have banked on that for years. There have been bodies found. There have been unsolved murders. People vanish into these woods, and this is something that happens globally in national forest and national parks, state parks. You can look up the statistics. There are YouTube videos about people that just vanish into these woods, and so for me, I find it harder and harder to believe KK, not necessarily KK's story, because she tells the story that he could have dumped the body in the river or the dump. For me, I personally believe that it probably was neither the dump or the river, but yet maybe into the mountains of Colorado, where Patrick had access to places that very few have access. And even to the point where FBI, CBI, local law enforcement didn't even search the Nash Ranch until they had to get 21 signatures from the lease owners and from the owners. So off in the far right-hand corner of this video, you can see Pikes Peak is starting to emerge. We're going to be cruising through here, and you're going to see Pikes Peak emerge. Again, I'm giving you this video only because I want you to understand how close things are, how close we could recharge Patrick's commissary while in Divide. Yeah, I thought about that. I thought if I went and put $10 on his commissary, if then he would put me on the visitor list. I thought about a way to get on Patrick's visitor list to try to get a visit with him. I don't know if that's possible, but it would be crazy. Michael, can you do drone footage over some of the national forests? Well, I have drone footage over the national forest that I could already show you. Yeah, you can drone over the national forest. You can fly in the national forest. You can do all of that. It's 1 million+ acres, thousands and thousands and thousands of. No, I think he could approve. Like, if you put money on his books and then you tried to schedule a visit, I'll be honest with you, I got no freaking desire. I could interview a lot of people, but I don't know if I want to sit down and have a visit with Patrick Frazee. I would do it, but it'd be crazy. That'd be a crazy freaking interview. So I do know that. I could interview a lot of, but I find it interesting when it comes to that, because there are people that like want to get in and talk with Chris Watts, or they want to get in and talk with people who have been convicted murderers. I don't necessarily want to give those people a voice. I don't necessarily want to be. I mean, could I sit there and jack with him? Absolutely. Has it crossed my mind? Absolutely. Would he put me on the list? Probably not. Did I spend the night in jail with Patrick Frazee? Absolutely, I did. I was two cells. He was in holding cell 1. I was in holding cell 4. I was catty cornered to him the whole night. Tried to communicate with him on multiple occasions. Oh, did y'all see that hawk right there in the video? Dang, that was brilliant. I think my wife saw that on the drive. I don't know if anyone caught that just now. That was freaking awesome. Pay attention. You never know what you're gonna see. So right now, on the right hand side of the road, off in the distance, it's coming up. You'll see this weird tree that's poking out from all the other trees. We're going to drive past it here just momentarily on the right hand side of the road as you're looking. That little tree that's poking up out of those other trees, that's actually a cell tower. That is the cell tower, which I believe was pinged off of. That's the only cell tower in Divide. You can see it right on the right hand side. It's actually located on a man named Pete Kuiper's property. And through some knowledge, I believe he gets paid about $5,000 a month to have that cell tower located on his property by the cell phone people. This is Divide, Colorado. It's a one. Is there two stoplights? I guess there's two stoplights officially. This is the first stoplight. You can't see, but on the right hand side of the, you can't. We won't see it very often. It's going to go by quick. But on the right hand side, just past the square building here, is going to be, and the white building here is going to be the Teller County jail, the sheriff's department, all this stuff right on the right hand side. Green roof. We're driving past the sheriff's department right now. So right behind that is where Patrick is being housed in the Teller County jail. Now, this drive right now between Divide, Colorado and Woodland Park, you guys have made with me 100 times on the way to court or on the way back to court. This drive from Divide is about 11 minutes, give or take, a few. I don't know if this video actually goes all the way into Woodland. I think I cut this video short or something happened with this video. Hopefully, let me see here. I actually have two videos. I got one more video I want to show you through Woodland, but we'll let this drive. You guys have made this drive with me 100 times from Divide to Woodland. We'll let this play out. I can't remember if it goes all the way. I don't know if I pushed record the whole way. But this is giving you an idea, and this is the same drive KK would have had to make from Patrick's house to Woodland or from Evergreen Station to Woodland. And so it gives you an idea. The distance isn't terribly, but there is a distance to think about it, right? She had time to think from the time they spoke at Evergreen Station. See, KK could be in that horse trailer, right? She could be hauling horses in that horse trailer right now. She had plenty of time to think. She had plenty of time to stop at the police stations. She had plenty of time to do a lot between Evergreen Station and when she showed up at Kelsey's house with poison coffee. She had time to think about that. So you think about that. That's premeditation. She sat at Evergreen Station and conspired with someone else there. There were 3 people at Evergreen Station. She conspired there. So when people talk about the petition that has been circulating about the conspiracy. See, the video just ended. Let me hit this next video. So I don't know if this is the one or not. Okay, so I think I have one more video. So that would have been, let me see if I got one more video here to kick in here. I think there's one more video of us rolling into actually Woodland Park. Let me think. So that would have been 85 would have been the big one. So it would have been 84. No, because that's the big one, 2.5. Nope. So I guess I don't. I guess I didn't pull that whole video, so we'll cancel that out. Cancel. And then basically the next 10 minutes we're into Woodland. This is pulling out of Woodland Park right now. This is in Woodland Park across Park State Bank. We're coming out of the City Market parking lot. And then we're just going to cruise right through town. You can see Woodland Park. Now, a lot of people believe she may have gone down to Krystola. A lot of people believe she may have gone to the Ute. A lot of people may believe that she went to the Thunderbird. I happen to believe she either went to the Ute, the Thunderbird, or Beerworks. Now, people think she went down to Krystola, but I don't know if you can hear me on this. I hope I wasn't blowing y'all out with my wife talking. Who knows? Who knows what we were talking about there? We might have been talking about some craziness. We're pulling into Woodland Park, coming eastbound. I know you guys have seen a lot of westbound drives with me, but this is eastbound. And this would have been going back towards Kelsey's house is going to be up on the major, not this light, but the very next light would have been the turn left up to Kelsey's house past the Williams Brothers Furniture. She could have stopped at the Ute just off to the left. She could have stopped at Beerworks. Many of you, she says she had a beer with her aunt. And this is Kelsey's block right here. If you were to turn left, you go to Kelsey's block. If you turn right, you go to my house. And that's where we headed. So I just killed the video there. That's just a quick little drive from Evergreen Station to Woodland Park. You kind of understand what was in between. I wanted to show this because part of what the petition people are saying, part of what people are upset about is that KK had an opportunity to notify law enforcement. Had Patrick asked her to kill Kelsey, they met at Evergreen Station. They came up with this coffee plan. They came up with this idea about poisoning the coffee. This is all conspiring to commit murder, which according to the people and the lawyers who wrote that petition, is a federal offense, and no one has been charged. Those charges haven't been brought up. And so that's part of her testimony via Slater, via tweets. Now remember, none of us, including me, including my wife who was in the pre-trial, none of us have heard KK's testimony. All we have heard is a version of her testimony given to us by Greg Slater of CBI. And most of you have only heard Twitter renditions of his testimony. So when people say they know KK said this, they really don't, because all they know is what Greg Slater told us in the pretrial and what was then via tweeted to us. Greg Slater's affidavit from the pretrial has not been released to anyone. So when we're talking about this story, I don't even believe this story. Like, I don't believe it. I don't believe they met at Evergreen Station and talked about doing something that they didn't do. Do I believe they met at Evergreen Station and talked about killing Kelsey? Yep. I do believe that. Do I believe she didn't do what she said she was going to do at Evergreen Station? Nope. I don't believe. I believe KK was involved with this murder. I believe that they talked about it at Evergreen Station, that she conspired, that Patrick may have even ridden back with her to Woodland Park. They may have all three, the aunt included, gone to a bar. And so don't think because I'm sitting here telling you these stories or showing you this video that I actually believe her testimony. I don't. But this is the testimony in which we've been given via Greg Slater, via Twitter. Okay? I got to be clear with that, because this is not the testimony we're going to hear in court, in my opinion. This is not the testimony that she's going to testify to in court. I think the way she gave this testimony is a lot different than the way Greg Slater presented it. As a matter of fact, Greg Slater started off his presentation of KK's testimony with, this testimony wasn't logical nor linear. And so he gave us a real linear testimony based on their notes. We get a very linear testimony based on Sam's tweets, based on my wife's tweets, based on Michael E. Dalton Twitter, even though I wasn't in the courtroom. But what we don't get is the whole story. We don't get the whole story. And we probably don't get even a version of the truth, if you ask me. But just so you understand, the drive, 10 minutes. Evergreen Station to Florissant, about 10 minutes. Florissant, Colorado to Woodland Park, about 15 minutes. Give or take. You know, a couple of minutes, depending on how fast you go, depending on if you run into Teller County Sheriffs, depending on if there's animals on the road, depending on if you get stuck behind someone. So it gives you just a little bit more understanding, a little bit closer understanding of the location. You know, it's not a Google Maps. That drive was done recently, you know. And so understand that she says they met at Evergreen. She says they talk about the coffee at Evergreen Station. She says they went to a bar, whether that bar was the Thunderbird, the Ute, Beer Works, or Krystal. Unfortunately, none of us know. I know a lot of people think they know. I know a lot of people think they have this, that, and the other based on. But the truth is, all she said was, we went to a bar and had a beer. There's only 4 bars. Unless you went to a restaurant, maybe. There's a couple of restaurants that have a bar that you could get a beer at. But I'm thinking if she calls it a bar in town, it's either the Thunderbird or the Ute. Could be Beer Works, because she is very clear to say we only had a beer. We went to a bar and had a beer, you know. And so this is her story. What do you think? Think it's worth a damn? Think we should give any credence to it? Yeah, she probably didn't like that roll. It's not a bad drive to Pueblo, actually. It's 25 minutes down the mountain, 15 minutes if you're going fast. Should be charged, Black Rose says. She's guilty. So. Hi, Christina64. Everybody in chat. I don't know what y'all talking about. Y'all even listen to me? Y'all talking about something else? Yep. Casey, he has not been arraigned. Yes, he's still arraigned on May 24th. Yes, Dad with a phone will be there. Yes. As a matter of fact, there's a lot happening on May 24th. If you're local and you want to come to the arraignment hearing, I'll be at the arraignment hearing, and then that evening I'm hosting a comedy show in Manitou Springs. You should come to that comedy show if you're going to stick around, and if you're local in the area. I'm just hosting the comedy show. I could use a beer right about now, Bobby says. It's 1 o'clock. Oh, let me show you some wildlife. I'll show you all some wildlife. We'll end on a wildlife moment. We got some. Let me see. Yeah, we got some video of some elk yesterday. 170, 180, 1780. So plus. We were coming back from Paradise Cove, and there was a group of cows. I don't think there might have been some bulls in this group, but there's definitely a lot of cows in this group. Oh, media source. We didn't want to run them over. I told not run them over. We probably were pushing these elk. Probably started moving because we drove up next to them. We're on a public road. We're not on anyone's private land. But these elk were about to make the jump over over the fence. And so we watched them for a little bit. The lead elk right there, the head cow, decided, no, we don't want to jump this fence. This is our feeding ground. So we actually didn't force them over the fence. She makes a few passes at it. They actually turn back around, and she takes them back out into the field, and then we drive off. But yeah, it's beautiful country, beautiful area, lots of animals, lots of wildlife in the area. Um, I love elk. I could literally watch elk eat grass all day, but I can't watch a sitcom for 30 minutes. And so, yeah, it's a beautiful countryside right there. And there's a little herd of Colorado elk for you, for those that don't get to see that very often. Fun stuff. Fun stuff. Thanks for joining. We'll be back. We're here all day. We ain't going anywhere. I got a couple of other things we're gonna be doing in the near future and here in just a little bit. So stick around. And if you like what you're seeing, you can totally donate to me at PayPal. You can subscribe.